Rightio. Hi guys, this is just a bit of a quick video. It's actually going to be in about 3, possibly 4 parts. King's Domin8tr X, 7.2 horsepower. Had a couple go back and I bought this brand new one. I thought I'm going to overhaul it and upgrade it myself, since I've got the bits to do it, and I thought I might make a quick video of what to do if you're going to upgrade it. Check them out, make sure they do last. They only got a 12-month warranty, so you can use them, wear them out, send it back, get your money back, or get a refund, whatever you want to do. But I haven't got the luxury of having to do that all the time, and quite frankly I couldn't be bothered stuffing around every 8 or 9 months doing it. I thought, well, I'll get the cheap one for start with. I know pulling it apart is going to void my warranty, but hey, at this point in time, I don't care. It is what it is. It's a winch for $370 delivered to your door. You get what you pay for. But there are certain things you can do to upgrade. So with part 1, and I apologise for this because I've already put it back together and then realised I should have videoed it. Start with the motor side of it. What I did was took out 4 bolts. I've already sealed them up here. You can just see. I'll put the sealer in behind. Remove the seal, which is only a press fit. And on a press fit, it's not that tight, and you've got a rough surface behind, so there's no way it's going to seal properly. So yeah. So what I've done when I resealed it, I've actually put sealer in behind it. As you can see there, down there, she's still a bit soft. I've only just finished doing it about a couple of hours ago. Resealed the bottom. One of the biggest concerns I had actually was there's an O-ring in behind this plate and the body and the backing plate. Now the backing plate one's not so bad, but in here they've cut a counter groove for the O-ring to go in. Here's the O-ring that goes around there. Now I measured the O-ring up at being 40 thou, 1 mil. The gap that the O-ring was sitting in, like the recess, was 35 thou deep. That's 5 thou crush on that. Given the, well, I suppose you could call it lack of machining integrity that there's in this, that's 5 thou is nowhere near enough. You're going to get water in the motor. So I'm glad I pulled it apart and checked that. I basically cleaned it up, used some degreaser, cleaned the surfaces, dried them, used automotive high pressure sealer in there. Where is it there? Yeah, some of that 3-bind joint sealer, high temp RTV, gasket maker. I put some in the groove first, put the O-ring down onto it, put some on top of the groove, being mindful to keep most of it on the outside because there is a little lip that you don't want going inside the motor. And then rolled it up and cleaned it up. Also, when I pulled it apart, I found that a lot of these screws were quite damn loose. So I've actually put some Loctite on them. I've put some sealer down on the holes where the screws were to hold the body and the face on. I put some in there so no water can get in there either. And I've done exactly the same thing with the back. The back you've got to worry a little bit more so with the brushes on the motor, which I have to say that the windings and the armature in the motor I couldn't fault. They were well done, super smooth. Yes, it's what I expect to find on a decent winch. But I've added obviously extra sealer in around the holes to make sure that we don't get any seepage through that. Now what I did do when I had the cover off is put a breather in. Yes, 3/8 BSP, tapered thread, Loctite it on, and I'll run a breather to my other breather system. So I've got a breather, sealed motor, got a breather on it so that actually it can breathe properly. Yeah, also on the sides, okay, around the big major screws that hold the stator in place, I've put some sealer in around the sides of those because I didn't bother taking those out. And the screws on the sides here that actually hold the brushes in place, I've just filled the holes with RTV to make sure that we don't get anything down under there either. And double check these. They've got little O-rings under them, so I'll put a little Loctite sealer on there as well. Make sure that there's nothing that can actually physically get into the motor itself, but still allowing the motor to breathe via the custom breather that I've put in. Apart from that, bearings are good, brushes are good, all sounds good. Here's my camera work. Yeah, forward and back. So the O-ring seals between the top and bottom of the stator. You need to get some sealer in there to make those O-rings actually work properly. Also to keep the crap out of here, the motor, where this is open, this side of the I'll get a little camera view there. This side of the is open to the elements. Okay, I'll give that a good clean off and put some RTV underneath, so it actually has a bond between the rubber and the here, so you're not going to get anything in between there and the seal from underneath going through, which I dare say you would, because you're just relying on the drum pushing on it to stop it from moving, which we'll get to that bit in a moment. Okay, so there's the motor. Okay, a little bit of extra sealer, she should be good for quite a while. Now, gearbox. Decided to get rid of the grease that was in there because after having a look at my son's that broke, we got our sun gears and our 3 stages of planetaries, first, second and third, which locks into the drum. And then of course you've got the housing and the main small one down there that the shaft through the drum is spun by the motor. And of course you've got the spring-loaded clutch, which just pops in and out like that. So that would be free, in, free, in, it locks in. That's good. And what that basically locks into is these recesses in this gear, so that you get your gearing. I had a little nifty idea. I'm sure it'll work. Well, it does work, but you know. But what I am going to do, because we've got all this gap down underneath here too, I am also going to be putting a breather on this side as well, so that the gearbox itself gets a breather. And I'll be doing the same thing with the RTV. There's your seal there. You can see it. So I'll be putting a bit of sealer either side of that as well, just to make sure. So what I want to pull it apart, was these cross bolts up here that go through for the crossbars. They were quite loose as well, so when I put those back in, I will be Loctiting them. Wasn't very impressed. And one of the things they do have is these chrome ollie screws that hold the face to the main gearbox. Now, as you can see, okay, that's the inside. The outside, and there's your ring. Those chrome ollie bolts are on the outside, open to the weather. And one of those on my son's sheared off, and the others were rusty, and it had only been used twice. So I've gone and gotten a set of stainless ones to replace them with. They should be just as good. And I'll do the same thing here once it's cleaned up. Sealer, RTV underneath, bond it directly to it, and go from there, so that we know there's no water hopefully getting in from that direction. But that's it. Now, gears wise, they look to be quite, at the moment, they've still got a bit of grease in there, which I'll talk about in a minute. The gears themselves, the metal gears, yes, but they're actually a bit sloppy in the gearing. This is second ring, and a bit hard to do when you haven't. There we go. Right. They're not too bad, to be honest with you, but the gears themselves, they don't look like cut gears to me because they're not shiny enough. They almost look like sintered, you know, like, powderized metal, pressurized and pressed in. That's what they look like to me, because there's no, like, I'm seeing some rough facing on the face of the teeth. So only time will tell to see how well that works. As we know, sintered gears aren't anywhere near as strong as cut gears. Same with this one here. It's not the best lighting, I'm sorry, but yeah. But yeah, now a couple of these gears were actually, these planetary gears, quite tight. This one's alright, but this one's got a couple of tight spots. That one's really tight there. But, not ungainly tight, but I'm sure would wear in with a little bit of use. This one had the same. There's one there that's really, really tight. Not feeling any movement in it, but it does feel like there's some wear to get it to run properly. Now this grease, which I just got a little bit on my hands there. I'll be washing all these gears out, thoroughly degreasing and repacking them. I wasn't impressed with the grease that was in there. I looked at my son's and I decided right from the start when I bought this, or actually before I even bought it, that I would be changing the grease. I'm going to be using a high pressure, high temperature, marine grade waterproof grease. And yes, for those of you who know me, it's blue. Haha, private joke, but those who know me will get it. And that stuff sticks like the proverbial stinky stuff to the blanket, and it is really, really good stuff. Is it going to be too heavy for this? No, I honestly don't think so. I've used them in all my wheel bearings that I've done on all my four-wheel drives, and I've not yet had a problem with any of them being too heavy. But what I do find is, because it does stick really, really well, if you get it on your hands, you've actually physically got to use a workshop grade hand cleaner to get the stuff off, or industrial degreaser to get off your hands first. This stuff, I washed it off with an ordinary bathroom soap. Now I'm sitting here in my little office here, just, you know, having a play, and yeah, it's a bit messy at the moment, but stuff happens. And when I was called for dinner by the lovely wife, all I had to do was go and wash it in the bathroom with normal bathroom hand soap. You know, soft soap in the squirty bottle, and it come off perfectly. And that to me tells me it's a low grade soap. If it can wash up with normal soap, it's not going to handle high pressure or water. You get a tiny bit of water in there, I reckon it's just going to wash it away from the gears, and then it's just going to screw everything up. And probably the water would even mix with the grease and turn it to a slurry. Whereas the proper marine grade stuff, you don't seem to have that problem, because the water just beads on the top. It won't mix with the grease, and if you get water into certain areas like that, all you have to do is put a heater on it, or you know, I suppose a hairdryer or heat gun or something like that, or even on a nice hot sunny day, and just let it evaporate, and away you go. No need to repack, no need to, you know, unless of course you've got some foreign material in there, but if it's just a bit of water in there, evaporate out, away you go, because it doesn't mix with the grease. So that's what I'm going for. Now let's make some room here. I'm going to show you later. It's another video. Right, the drum. This is the biggest bit of contention, because those seals that I showed you before, this one here, rub on the face like that. I'm not going to put it on there because it's still got grease on that, and I've already cleaned this one. The problem is, these side plates aren't welded on squarely. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but look at that. It's so unsquare. And even before I took it out while I was unraveling the rope, I thought, Jesus, I'm going to do something about that. Because those two side seals is what's stopping that stuff getting from inside here into the gears from either side, from the motor side, which just pushes through this way, right, onto the gearbox, or from the gearbox straight into the gearbox. So you're going to get, either way, that's where you're going to have your problems of getting dirt in and dust in and water, is from these side seals getting into the gears from either that side through or this side straight in. So we're going to have to fix that. Second thing I noticed, it's not only it was on both ends. Now my son's, the welds on here broke because there was no penetration on the drum whatsoever. Whereas these welds actually look pretty decent compared to what he had. However, my problem is that both drums and side plates are not screwed on properly. Now, another problem is that the rope that's screwed to the side is a pissy little Phillips head screw to hold it in place. Now, okay, you're supposed to have a few drums around there to give it pressure so it pulls on it. But the problem with that is more so the placing. Now, I've left the grease on here for a reason to show you, because you can clearly see from this side, you can see the grease, where the seal was hitting hard on one side and only just touching on the other. Have a look at this. That seal was not going to last long. Screw comes through and sits right on the seal. Put it in the wrong place. Not good at all. So I'm going to have to weld that up and reposition it and put a decent one in there. So it does, oh, excuse me, doesn't cause me a problem. This side, you can see, is nowhere near as badly warped as the other side. So I may even just be able to give that a light tap in the right spot and just reposition it. So you've got a reasonably even amount of wear of grease there, but I'll set him up in the lathe and just see how we go and what we can do. But this side definitely needs to be redone because its seal pressure is way off. It's just not working at all. And of course, that screw hole has to be put into the right spot, which also should be sealed, really, because that is on the inside of the seal, and that's where water and dirt and anything else is going to get in straight into your motor. Well, it's not going to get into the motor, is it, because it's sealed up properly, but it's going to go straight in there and then straight onto the internal drums. So not good at all, unfortunately. So the most amount of work is actually going to have to be redesigning and re-engineering this drum so that it works properly. Now, would you get that with a higher quality winch? I wouldn't expect so. But okay, these things are made in China, made to a price, made to a budget. You don't know what grade of steel they've used. You're never going to know, really. And I believe you've also got sintered gears, not cross-cut. Sintered is a hell of a lot easier to make than cross-cut gears, but nowhere near as strong. How much pressure are you going to put on it? Anyway, that's video number 1. I'll give you guys a heads up on video number 2 after I've got everything cleaned up and repacked and see how we go with this drum. Cheers.